We're back here with our bridge again, but this time we're going to talk just really briefly about making an H.264 file out of After Effects. Now there are a few issues that you're going to run into, but I'm just going to kind of walk through the process and we'll discuss some of the settings that you might want to change when you're exporting. So I just have this one file here on the timeline, it's just a photo, but that's good enough for now. We can see my composition is 30 seconds long. We're actually at an odd little resolution of 2048 by 1536, just because that's what the photo size was when I took the photo. To make a movie out of this, we can go to Composition and go to either Make Movie, or we can just go to Add to Render Queue. If I go to Add to Render Queue, it's going to pop it in my render queue, and then there's some things we're going to need to change. That first thing is this output to. So if I click that, it's going to want me to select a directory, and then I'll name this file. So let's call this my export. The next thing you might look at is if you wanted a shorter version of your composition or less render time from your composition. Had you set your work area to be just that area, you'd be all set, but if you didn't, you could go to Best Settings, and down here at the bottom you can click on the word Custom, and from here you can manually type in. So if I only wanted 15 seconds of this, I could come in here and do 15, then change this 29 to 00, and now I've just got from the start of the project through the first 15 seconds, which gives me a duration of 15 seconds in one frame. For the most part, I never change any of this other stuff. If I didn't want any of this stuff to happen, I would probably change that in the project rather than changing it here at the render queue level. So for the most part, you probably won't ever change anything in that custom, and in fact I'm just going to undo what I did, and to get back to that best settings preset, I can just click the little arrow and we'll just do best settings. The last thing you'd want to do is change your actual rendering quality and the codec that you're going to use. So if I click this word lossless, this is going to pop up. I'm on a Mac, so my default's going to be QuickTime, and then animation, which is uncompressed. If you're on a PC, it's going to be an AVI uncompressed. If you use QuickTime, and then you go to Format Options, you'll see in H.264, they don't recommend rendering at this setting. You might even get a warning message if you're in version 5. But this is actually a pretty decent way of doing an H.264 file wrapped inside of QuickTime. However, just to be so we're on both platforms, the same settings, we can go up here to Format and drop this down, and we'll select H.264. Now when I do that, you might be tempted just to hit OK. It's an H.264 file, and you're good to go. But there's a little concern here, and I'm not exactly sure why they made it this low. The bitrate is just at 0.6. Now if you have a decent camera at all, you might be recording at 10, 15, 24, maybe higher than that. And here we are in After Effects, we're going to export this at 0.6. Well, that's just a little bit low for me. So we need to change this and raise this number. So if I click on Format Options, we'll need to change these two numbers down here. Now if you're going to upload to Vimeo or YouTube or something like that, possibly a 3 for the target bitrate and a 6 would probably be good. You've essentially more than tripled the quality that After Effects was going to crank out for you. Your file size is going to increase a little bit, but it's not going to be ginormously changed. The quality, though, will be very nice looking compared to what you would have at 0.6, and then Vimeo and YouTube applying their compression. If you're going to take this to somebody, I would probably put this at 6, and this maybe at 10. Now these are just suggested settings, but a good general range, if I'm going to deliver something to somebody, maybe 6 to 10. If I'm going to put something on the web, maybe 3 or 4 to 6. And then I'll hit OK. So we can see our target bitrate's 3, and we're in H.264. The last thing we'd need to do is down here. So if I have audio, I just need to check that little audio checkbox. By default, 48K and stereo is perfect. If If I wanted to make this a preset, I could click the little arrow next to where it says custom, and we could go to make template. This will pop up, and I could save this as my H.264 web. So the next time I come back here into the render queue, I just have to drop this little arrow down, and then I'll find H.264 web.